Hi and welcome to Candyfloss Crochet. Today I'm going to show you how to make a flat granny square. So this is one I've made earlier and as you can see, other than a traditional granny square, which is this pattern where you have your clusters of 3 stitches, this one is a flat granny square. This one I have made with Deramores Studio Anti-Piling DK, and this colour is burnt orange. I quite like the yarn. It's quite a nice shiny yarn. It's not as fluffy as other yarns that I've used in the past. And I'm just going to show you how to get started with this one. So what you will need for this tutorial is your scissors, darning needle, and I'm using a 4mm hook. Obviously you can use any size hook you want, but if you check your yarn label, usually it will say on your yarn label, as it does with this one here, 4mm or a US G6 for this type of yarn. And I'm going to use a slightly different colour this time. I am going to use the same brand, but this one is called Citrine, which I think is quite a nice yellow. Okay, so let's get started. So working from a magic circle. Now it is up to you whether you use a magic circle to start or whether you chain 4 and then slip stitch into the first chain. I always start with a magic circle, so I'll just quickly show you how to do that, but there is a video tutorial on my site and I will link below to how to do a magic circle in more detail. I'll just go through a magic circle now. So I place the yarn tail end over my fingers and hold it with my thumb, pass it over the back of my hand, underneath my thumb so it's crossed over, back over again, back under my thumb just to hold it in place. So the yarn's crossed at the back and I've got 2 tram lines on the front. Taking my hook, go between my fingers with the hook point facing down, under the first yarn, and grab the second yarn into the hook and twist it right round on itself. Okay, and then you want to grab that yarn again, so you want this back one, this one here, twist it round so you have 2 loops on your hook, take your fingers out and then slip stitch one over the other, and that creates your magic circle. If you pull on the tail now, the circle will get smaller and obviously you can make it bigger as you go. I tend to pull it down to sort of finger size, just because that makes it a little bit easier to work into. So that's my magic circle, and from that magic circle I want you now to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And what this is going to be your equivalent of a treble plus a chain 2. So on all granny squares, when you have a corner, you have a stitch and then a chain 2, which creates a corner. So this one is the equivalent of 1 treble plus a chain 2. And I want you to do 3 trebles into the magic circle. So this is a UK treble, and I'm just going to take you through a couple. So you're yarning over, you insert, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. Just going to tighten that one because it was quite loose. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. Some more yarn. And our third one, yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's my first one, and as you can see my chain is already looking quite baggy there. Now we want to make another corner, so we're chaining 2 and we're going back into that magic circle and working 3 more UK trebles. That's 1, 2 and 3. So now we've got a corner, and we now need to make another corner because we're making a square. So chain 2 to make another corner and back in to do 3 more trebles. I'm going to just pull my centre ring in a bit tighter now. So 3 more trebles into that centre magic circle. So I've now got my original chain, which is also creating a corner, another corner, another corner. I need to make my next corner, so chaining 2. And as you can see, we're starting to make a square. So if I pull my circle in a bit, you can see it's starting to make a square shape. And I need to, on this one, do the last 2 stitches. So whereas you can see, we've got our corner here, 3 trebles, corner, 3 trebles, corner, 3 trebles, corner. We now need 3 trebles in here, but as you remember, I said this one was going to count as a treble, so I only want you to work 2 trebles into the last one to create the last side. So into your magic circle and do your 2 trebles. And that joins to that one, that creates your 4 corners. So when you're slip stitching to join, which is how we're going to join up our corners, if you remember, we started off with our chain 3. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 to start with. 1, 2, 3 is the top of our stitch. So that chain 3 is now our treble. So we just need to slip stitch into the 3rd chain. So 1, 2, 3, we're going into this one up here. And the slip stitch, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, 2 loops, and yarn the back loop over the front loop. And that is your first row. As you can see, or maybe not see that well, you have got 3 trebles all the way round, and you've got 4 chain 2 spaces to create the corners. So that's row 1 done. I'm going to put in my center circle now just to tighten that up. And now on your next round, you're chaining 3, and this will form a treble in every round. And then you're going to go straight into the corner space now, as you would on a normal granny square, and do 2 trebles into that corner space. 1, 2, get some more yarn, and we need to create our corner. So you're chaining 2, and you're back into that chain space, and you're going to do another 2 trebles. So 1, 2. Now whereas a normal granny square, you would jump straight to the next corner space. We're not going to do that on this one because it is a flat granny square. We need to work into every stitch along, and we need to go into the top of every stitch. Your first one might be slightly hidden. Your first stitch is here, your very first stitch. So when you're looking down from above, that's your first treble, and you're going into the top of that one and working a UK treble into the top of that. So you need to do 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're at the next corner. So UK treble into that stitch. And we found ourselves back at the next corner, and in the corners we're going to do 2 trebles, a chain 2, and then another 2 trebles. So that's 1, 2, my chain 2 to create my corner. I can pull those over slightly, and I'm going back into that chain space, put 2 more trebles. We're now on our next side, and as before, we want to make sure we go into the top of all of these trebles all the way along. So there's 1, 2, 3 before we're into our next corner space. So we work 1 treble into each of the 3 trebles from the row below. That's my second, into my third one. And we're back into our corner again. When you get to the corner, we're doing exactly the same as we do in every corner. 2 trebles. Now pause the video at any time if you want to catch up. But I'm going to complete this whole round with you, and then I'll show you how to move on to the next one. Done my 2 trebles, I'm going to chain 2 to create that corner. Back in to do my 2 trebles to finish that corner off. Find my 3 stitches, so my first one's here. I'm going to work a treble into that one, treble into the next one, treble into the last one, which takes me to the corner, and I'm back into my very last corner. 2 trebles, chain 2, and 2 trebles finishes off that last corner. And now we're back at our very last stitches here. So in each row, they increase by 4 each time. So in this row, we've got groups of 3s, and the next group, you will have groups of 7 stitches all the way along. In round 3, you'll have 11. So you've got 3, 7, 11, 15 stitches, 19 stitches, 23 stitches. So if you're a bit unsure whether you're going in, you've got the right count, and if you don't have the right count, what will happen, it will buckle. So make sure you've got the right count. So on this one, our chain 3 that we did at the beginning is counting as one of our trebles. So we only have to do another 2 to finish off this row. So we're going to go into our first one, which is here. And our last one, which is this gap here. And that finishes off that row, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of our chain 3. So stitch 1, 2, 3, and we're going into the top, and that finishes off that row, which is row 2. Start your next row, you're chaining 3 again, and you're going into the next stitch, and you're going into every stitch all the way around and working a treble. Next one again, a treble, and we're back at the corner. I'm going to do 2 trebles. It's my second one. Chain 2, 2 trebles. So every corner is exactly the same. Now this time, make sure when you're looking at your next stitch that you're going to go into this top of this stitch here. Don't miss this one out. It's really easy to just it gets sort of stuck underneath there and it's almost invisible, and you think, oh, that's my next one, but it isn't, it's here. So pull it apart just slightly, make sure that post with the V at the top and you're going in that one, otherwise you're missing one out and your square won't be flat. So treble into that one, and we're on row 3 now, so we should have 11 stitches on each side. So each stitch all the way along, you're working a UK treble. And I've arrived at my next corner, so 2 trebles into there. I'm just going to pause there and show you, just move my ends out the way. So when you're looking down your work now, you should have 11 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and my last one there is 11. So on each round, as I said, it increases by 4. And you should make sure your count is right as you go round. So I'm halfway through a corner. I'm going to chain 2. And put my next 2 trebles in that same corner. And my first stitch again is this little one here. So pause the video at this point and work yourself all the way around. Don't forget all the stitches. 2 trebles, chain 2, 2 trebles in every corner, and I'll meet you back at the end of this row. Okay, so I've just finished off my last corner, and you just need to make sure you get your count. So that chain 3 that you did there counts as a stitch, counts as a treble. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches here, then my gap, 6, 7. So I need 8, 9, 10, 11 stitches left. So that's 4 in the middle to complete. Go into that first one. My last one, last stitch before I join this round. And then I'm going 1, 2, 3, top of the chain 3, slip stitch through, and that is finished off that round. So that's round 3. If you then want to chain your 3, and remember you're working in each of these stitches as you go along, so each one of these you're working until you get to this chain 2 space here, and then you're working your standard corner. So on the next round, on round 4, you should have a side of 15 stitches. On round 5 it should be 19, and on round 6 it should be 23, and each round as you go will increase by 4. So that's how you do a flat granny square. I'm going to add a border onto this one, so if you want to see the type of border that I add onto this square here, then stay online, just pause the video, work up your square to the desired size that you want, and then I'm going to show you how to add a border onto this one on the same video. Okay, so you should have now completed your square to your desired size. So I've done 6 rows, and my side stitches between the chain 2 spaces are 23. And I am going to add on this beautiful purple, which is the same stuff before, the Deramores Studio Anti-Piling DK, and this is called actually purple. So I'm just going to add this one on, and you can join the yarn at any point. So create a slip knot, remove your hook, insert your hook into any point. So I'm just going to go in the middle here, put my slip knot back on and pull that through. Take my yarn to the back, get my end out of the way. And then to the next stitch, work a UK double, which is a US single. So that's insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both loops. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through both of those loops. And repeat this all the way along in the top of all your stitches, working a UK double crochet. So you go along. I quite like the contrast with these 2 colours. Nearly at my corner now. When you've done your last stitch and you're at your corner, work 2 double crochets into that corner, chain 2. I turn my work slightly at this point, and I work 2 more double crochets into that corner space. And don't forget this stitch here. It's very important you don't miss this one. You don't go straight into that one, because you're, especially with the yarn, as you start working into it, it tends to leach into that one. So that's your next one. And work all the way along, picking up each stitch as you go, and just work a double crochet into each stitch. As you can see, by putting your chain 2, you get a nice point on your corner. So work all the way around, and I will show you how to join your yarns together when you get to the end. Okay, so you should now have worked your double crochet all the way around your edge, putting 2 double crochets and a chain 2 and 2 more double crochets into each corner. I'll just put my camera up a bit so you can see it. There you go. And we're back to the very last couple of stitches. So I'm just going to put my hook back in. This is my last stitch here. So just work my last 2 double crochets into the last stitches. And then you're just going to go into the next stitch and slip stitch to join. Pull your end up, You can snip that one off now, leaving a long enough end to weave in. I've got two ends to weave in, but that's my border. I think it just adds that extra dimension to the square, makes it a lot more tidier. So that's how you add, well, just a double crochet border to your flat granny square. Okay, I will put a link down below, as I said, for a traditional granny square if you rather do that one. And I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you.